Greetings, I'm Bairnt and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we are going to discuss my forever games. A forever game? What's that? That's a great question. A forever game is a game in your collection that will never leave. You have so much fun when it comes out that you want to play it again, or every time you bring it out you have a great time and you just know that it's never going to leave. Colin over at the One Stop Co-op Shop thought of this great plan, and I'm going to move forward to continue a list of my own. Mike, also at the One Stop Co-op Shop, did his list, and it was really cool. I hope my list is as good as theirs. After I finish this and post the video, I'm going to see if I can get some other content creators out there to do their forever list. So as you see other creators' lists, you can find a whole ton of games that you may want to look into because other creators have seen and played them as well. I'm excited to show you mine, and I hope you are excited to see it. And if you are, then I need you to meet me at the table. The first game making the list is Aliens from Leading Edge Games from 1989. That's right. It's even before the 2000s. I don't know too many solo co-op experiences that come even before this. So this could be one of the first ones I know of, and this one has seen so much play. As you can tell, the board has seen a lot of love. There's rips and tapes everywhere. And of course, it's standees only, and it rolls a simple D10 system. There's nothing super complex about this game. Heck, it was made in 1989, but I can't get enough of this game. It will never leave my collection. You get to be the Marines from Aliens. You even get to control Burke at some point. Well, you kind of control him. He kind of has his own path. But if the dropship survives, you certainly can take him out to try to take on the Queen, which is pretty cool. So there are some alternate paths, even outside of the actual movie scenarios, if you have the expansion. This is Aliens by Leading Edge Games. It is our first one on the list. Moving from 1989, we're going to go all the way to 2012, and we're going to talk about Robinson Crusoe. This is a super cool adventure game. It's a resource management game. It's a worker placement game. It's so many different things. It's a push your luck game. There's so many different mechanics going on in this game. But primarily, you have to know one thing. This game is tough. You're going to lose. But sometimes it's more about the journey than actually winning the game. You're going to be trying to do whatever your scenario is. And there's many different types of scenarios. Some could be try to get off the island. Sometimes there's a volcano exploding on the island you have to try to get out of. There's so many different scenarios that come in the base game. And of course, there's expansions as well that give you even other scenarios. But inside of that, there's still the base part of the game where you're going to be trying to uncover the island, gain resources, and progress through your adventure. There's a bunch of cards that are going to be able to unfold how the adventure is played out. You're going to roll a dice that's going to be part of your push the luck system, and you may have something come up that's going to be bad for you. But not only is it bad for you, you have to choose if you want to have the worst outcome happen now, or even maybe a worse outcome happen later in the adventure deck, because you can place it in there and it will randomly come up as you're playing the game. Robinson Crusoe is a fantastic experience for multiple people. I played it with 2, even 4 players. We have a fantastic time. Of course, it is such a celebration when you win, but also it's still a thing to talk about when you lose, because there's so many different things that happen in this game. You could even die on turn 2. If you want to see how that works, check out my playthrough. There you go, Robinson Crusoe, and that's in 2012. In 2014, we have Myth. Myth. Myth was my first dungeon crawler I ever owned, and it is the game that started my gaming group. We've been playing this game. We can't get enough of it. We've moved on to other games, but we do come back to Myth every once in a while because it's just super fun. They have these campaign books now that you can play, and all the characters play super different. They have a deck of cards that grows and evolves as you play through these campaigns. You're removing cards and adding other cards. You even have to, at one point, pick which direction, which skill tree set you want to go down, and then you're only going to be able to get cards from that set, and you might have to come back and play again to try to figure out what the other cards are. For example, you could take a priest and move him towards a healing role, or you could take a priest and make him more of a necromancer, bringing things back from the dead. It's really cool how they decided to make this game come alive. The miniatures are fantastic, the art style is amazing, and the other cool mechanic that I haven't seen too many times is every card played can potentially add to what is called the darkness. Once the darkness hits its point, it will activate all the monsters on the board. So you can free flow play this game with your friends, deciding who's going to play. There's a lot of cooperation and a lot of talking when it comes to a dungeon crawler, instead of just everybody taking a turn and then the monsters going. No, you have to decide when you're playing your cards, because some cards will gain maybe 1 or 2 to the darkness, some might do 0, so some people might want to play their 0 cards before the 2 cards. Then of course there are cards that can only be activated during the darkness, so you want to play those cards when the monsters are coming at you. So at that point you might want to trigger the darkness. This game has a lot of really cool moments where you're talking with your people and you get to have these epic moments because you've all coordinated this super big attack against a giant boss. Myth is fantastic. I really enjoy this game. In 2014, we found another Aliens game. This is Legendary Encounter Alien. This is super fun. It's a deck builder that has some pretty cool mechanics into it. It's a relatively old style deck builder where you're going to buy cards from a river and you're going to put those in your discard pile and hope they come back to help save you as you play through the game. But the cool things about this game is you get to play through the 4 movies in the base box. And on top of that, there's a couple expansions, and one of them is even the Prometheus expansion. So you can even play some of the newer movies, which is really cool. And they have moments inside the Alien event deck that is very similar to the movies. You're going to see people like Ash come out and affect you. You're going to see Newt come out. You're going to see Jonesy come out. And you're going to see, of course, a bunch of crazy aliens and facehuggers. You have to deal with all these things. There's different objectives you have to complete. And in order to even see what's coming at you, you have to scan it because these things are all roaming around in the dark. This game is super fun. It's my favorite deck builder that I own. I strongly recommend it if you can go find it. This is Legendary Encounter Alien. In 2015, we were able to get XCOM, the board game. XCOM is based off a video game of the same name. It's a fantastic game. You create a bunch of soldiers and you try to stop an alien invasion. And in this game, you are doing the same, but with a time constraint. This is a real-time game. It might be the only one you see in my forever list. I love playing this game. I love introducing it to other people because everybody has their own role. But you have to be fast because if you run out of time, penalties happen. Try to get into XCOM. If you have a chance to play it, play it. All right, let's move on. In 2015, Kingdom Death Monster reared its ugly head and it has been destroying survivors ever since. I wonder what its total death count is up to because it has to be astronomical. This game is not a forever game. This game is a lifestyle game. You could play this game multiple times and have different outcomes and have a different experience inside the world of Kingdom Death Monster. Is this going to ever leave my collection? I don't think so. I did a 51 episode playlist on this one. I couldn't stop playing. We went through an entire campaign and it was an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to coming back and doing another one at some time. This game is awesome. It is a boss battling civ builder. That's pretty much what I describe it as. You're taking on these boss monsters such as a white lion or potentially an antelope or even a giant phoenix. And these creatures you're going to destroy to bring back things to the settlement so that you can actually create this big civilization and create more powerful weapons and armor and even trinkets that you can bring into these battles to fight harder monsters and everything, all the way up to the final boss battle that is going to try to take down your settlement. This game is amazing. I can't get enough of it, and I don't even know what else I can say to tell you how cool Kingdom Death Monster is. Go give it a shot. Of course, I will say one thing. It is for adults. There is a lot of graphic pictures and things that could be not for kids, so don't play with your kids. Play it with some adult friends. You're going to have a blast. I can't get enough, and every person I've played this with has had a blast as well. Next we have Arkham Horror, the living card game. It's getting spooky in here. 2016 is when the base game for this came out, and it's still going on this day. The new expansion, is the time of this recording, is coming out pretty soon. And there are some fan-made scenarios as well, along with some con scenarios that you can grab as well. This game has so much for it. You're going to have a survivor. You're going to have a deck of cards that is that survivor. You can create a deck, but it has to be based on a certain amount of cards that your survivor can use. The survivor then will go into a single scenario, or you can play a campaign, which is pretty fun, and it's probably the way I play more than any other. I have a blast every time I play this. I actually just played this game with my nephew. I taught him how to play this game. He had so much fun. He wants to play it again next time we get together. Some cool things about this game is it almost feels like a board game because you're going to be placing your locations out and you're going to be moving your character around in these locations, and you're going to be trying to advance your act deck before the agenda deck advances itself. And the game escalates as you play more often than not based on your scenario. Of course, every one of them is unique, and it's really cool how they've kept this game fresh. I don't think I'll ever stop buying the new stuff for this game because it's just so much fun, and it's neat to see all the different directions they have been taking this game, and I'm excited to see what's in the future for Arkham Horror, the living card game. Moving into 2016, we have Role Player. Again, a game I'm never going to let leave my collection. I have a blast every time I play this. This does have a solo component, but mostly it's competitive, which is one reason we don't have a playthrough done on the channel. I could do a solo one. Maybe I will. It's not a bad idea. It's a super fun game. You create your character, you're going to roll dice and try to win by getting the highest score by either creating the best character or the worst character. You're going to try to equal out your stats based on your skills and also your races. It's just so much different management going on with dice placement. It's a fantastic game. I recommend it to anybody that gets a chance to play it. Role Player, what a blast! In 2017, the board game community was met with Gloomhaven, and oh my gosh, did it take over the board game community. I don't think it's left the top 10 since it actually came out. It's absolutely phenomenal. I don't know what I have to say about Gloomhaven that hasn't already been said. It's a card management game where you get to play as a character, and every character plays differently based on the cards that it has. You're going to go through different scenarios in a book. I've gone through maybe about 40. I know I'm just scratching the tip of the iceberg in this game compared to other Gloomhaven groups, and most people do have a Gloomhaven group, and I do as well, that we get together. Well, we used to get together about every 2 weeks. We're starting to get back together, which is super cool. This game's a lot of fun. It will never leave my collection. I'm going to tell you something that's going to make you laugh. I actually own a second copy of this game, and it has yet to be opened. I'm waiting to get together with another Gloomhaven group once this one finishes. You get to unlock characters, which is probably my favorite part of the whole thing, is seeing the new characters as they come out of the boxes. This is Gloomhaven, and I don't think it's ever going to leave the board gaming community. In 2017, we were given an RPG in a box. That's right, we were given Folklore: The Affliction. This game has so much going for it. It has a gothic story that is just immersive. I love the story to Folklore. And not only that, there's 4 different expansions that you can take your characters on. There's multiple characters you can be, and every one plays differently. It has branching paths. Each one can play 2 different styles. It's really cool. And as you're going through this story, you could find rumors that can send you on other adventures inside the world of Folklore. The story moments that take place really add a lot to this game. Depending on how the story progresses, you're going to be given these little placards that look like books, different colors, and those are going to be your story moments. And at certain points during your mission, it might ask you if you have a certain story element. And if you do, then certain things are going to happen. It's a really cool way to keep things hidden inside a game of this magnitude. My wife and I have enjoyed this game for many years. It's a fantastic game to bring out. It encompasses the entire table, and it just brings the world of Folklore to life. I can't get enough. It's super cool. Go check it out. It's Folklore: The Affliction. In 2017, we were given yet again another dungeon crawler. This is Sword and Sorcery by Ares Games. This one is more tied and true to a real dungeon crawler. It has a pretty cool story. It's not as good as Folklore, sadly, but what it does that Folklore doesn't is it has this cool book of secrets that is going to unfold as you play through the different scenarios. You also have a plethora of different characters you can choose from when you play in this game, and you can even have people come in and out based on the level they're at. They have a way of being able to level everybody up to the point where everybody else is. So it has a lot of cool things that aren't seen in other dungeon crawlers. Also, if you die in this game, you're not dead. You turn into a ghost, and you can actually still help the party out, or you can move to try to become an unghost. An unghost? Is that even a word? I'm going to say it is. One of its main features is the AI component in this game is phenomenal. It gives you a huge list of different things that these enemies are going to do, and you can try to get them set up in certain ways that are actually going to benefit your party. So it has a little puzzly effect to it too. Of course, there are dice, and with dice, you know there's always luck. Sword and Sorcery will never leave my collection. It's super fun, and I have a blast every time we play it. Still in 2017, which seems to be the year of forever games, we have the Seventh Continent, one of the greatest adventure games I've ever played. This game has a ton of different things going for it, which is really cool. One is it is a long game, so you're really having this immense adventure, which is super cool. And when you finally get to the end, you just sit back and breathe this sigh of, wow, what a great experience that was. You're going to have an adventurer that comes back to this continent because they're cursed, and you have to relieve that curse from them. In order to do that, you have to figure out with some cryptic clues how to do that. So you're going to start exploring this continent, which really is the name of the game, and try to figure out how to get rid of that curse. Along the way, you're going to come across different areas of the continent. You're also going to come across different wildlife on the continent as well, along with super cool items. There's an action deck that not only helps you in completing the different things you need to in the game, there's an action deck that not only is your life force, but it's also going to be where you're going to gain your successes from for all the different tests you have to create in this game. So the more cards you draw to try to complete your successes, the less life you're going to have until you find a place to hunt to try to get that life back. There's so many cool things going on in the Seventh Continent that I can't get enough of it. And once you complete a curse, if you have more curses, you get to continue going forward. I usually do just one curse just because one's really good enough. This game is immense and it will take a while to get through, but the adventure is absolutely unforgettable. Next on this list, Awakened Realms finally enters the fray with This War of Mine in 2017. Again, so many games in my Forever collection are from this year. This is not a super happy game. I may be super energetic, but this game itself has a lot of things going for it that can really tug at heartstrings, and it is a really rough situation at times. You're going to have a group of survivors trying to live inside a city that doesn't have the resources it needs. It's being held captive by rebels, and nobody's really coming to help those inside the city. You need to use your resources to keep yourselves alive until this group can hopefully come and save you or liberate the city or some way just make it out. They've created a very good game that has a really hard theme to be able to pull off, and they did a very good job of doing that. Again, this game may not be for everybody. I really enjoy this game. It's really interesting to see the situations that play out for your survivors and even inside yourself. That's This War of Mine by Awakened Realms. Moving into 2018, what do you know? Another Aliens game. Well, it's not exactly an Aliens game. This is Nemesis by Awakened Realms. This has the same type of theme as Aliens, but it's not exactly the same thing. You're set inside a ship, you have a crew or crew member, and you have objectives you're trying to complete while you're moving around the board. This game can be played solo co-op or semi-co-op. I've played all ways. I love every one of them. This will never leave my collection. There are cool things happening inside this game. There's so many different ways to lose that you have to try to stay on top of all the different things happening around you. Plus, of course, you still have to complete your own objective. You're going to be finding items that can hopefully help you out, but most of the time they don't. And there's an alien intruder around every corner that could appear at any time. The new cool mechanic about it is their noise roll system. You're going to roll, and based on where the noise goes, there could potentially become an intruder. But you could get lucky and maybe not one will appear. There's a lot of cool things going for this game, but even when you lose, it's a ton of fun. I've never had a bad experience playing Nemesis. This is one of my favorite games of all time. I strongly recommend it, Nemesis by Awakened Realms. You can't talk about Forever Games without talking about Shadows of Brimstone, and I'm going to talk specifically about Forbidden Fortress. This one really hit home for me. I wasn't a big fan of the first one. I didn't like the theme of it, but this theme inside feudal Japan is absolutely awesome. I don't have a dungeon crawler like this, so it's one of the reasons this one really appealed to me. You're going to be able to create a character and they're going to go on an adventure, or multiple characters and they can go on multiple adventures. You get to create the adventure. You can even have multiple people going on multiple different adventures inside the same world of Forbidden Fortress, and they can meet up somewhere. The world is your oyster in the world of Shadows of Brimstone, because everything in Shadows of Brimstone can be brought together. You could have all different kind of enemies. You could move from the world of Forbidden Fortress. They could go to the original Shadows of Brimstone if they wanted to. You can add in that stuff. This game has no limitations. The depth track moving up and down inside your dungeon is really cool. They've even added some city experiences as well as expansions that can really flesh out a complete campaign of Shadows of Brimstone. I have a blast when this game comes out. I'm still doing a campaign on the channel and I'm going to be returning to it shortly. I can't get enough of this game, but every time I do, I want to make sure I have new enemies to be able to fight, so I have to get them built and painted. Shadows of Brimstone Forbidden Fortress is a fantastic dungeon crawler, and it really brings back the old school type dungeon crawl feel, and I'll never get rid of this game. Finishing out 2018, we're bringing up a party game called Just One. That's right, this game is amazing when it comes to the party atmosphere. This is the only party game you're going to see on my forever list at this time. I can't get enough of this game. Anytime I bring this out of a social situation, we have an absolute fantastic time. I have gone through the dry erase markers on this, so we had to buy another set, and guess what? We went through those too. We're on our third set of dry erase markers for Just One because we have such a blast playing it. You're going to get a card and you have to have the person say the card, but everybody else is only going to give just one clue, and it can't be the same as any other person's clue or those clues are eliminated. So you have to think of how to make the person say that word without potentially thinking the most obvious answer, or maybe you think of the most obvious answer because nobody else will write that one down. You never know. You may see the same card 32 different times, but with all the different people you're playing with, you never are going to get the same clues as to what you're going to say. So that's Just One, my favorite party game, and it's on 2018. We're coming towards the end. Moving into 2019, we are again graced by Awakened Realms. We have the Tainted Grail. If you haven't noticed, I'm a fan of Awakened Realms. They make some fantastic games. This is an adventure game set in the King Arthurian world. You're going to gain a character. That character has flaws and it has skills. I love the fact that they actually have a flaw. It really makes a character stand out. You're going to be moving around the board, which is actually a set of cards that can appear and disappear based on whether or not menhirs are lit. Each character in this game does play completely different. They have a deck of cards that are used for combat and diplomacy, and you're going to be encountering different enemies and different situations where you're going to have to diplomatize? I'm making words up today, aren't we? Your way through certain objectives. All the while, you're trying to complete your quest, and there's many different quests in this game, and each one has its own ending. And once you complete that quest, a new one is unlocked for you to try to complete. The combat system is really cool. It's a puzzly system as opposed to rolling dice to see if you're able to beat these encounters. Using those cards and lining them up is going to be able to give you cubes, and you lay out cards and you're trying to create the best situation for yourself. I just really enjoy the puzzle system. I think it's a really neat way of being able to do this type of combat in an adventure game. I have only scratched the surface of the Tainted Grail. It is a forever game for me. It is never going to leave my collection because there's so much content in this game, and every time I play it, I have a fantastic time. But I need to get this to the channel. I haven't done it yet. It's super fun, and it's just something that has to get done soon. There you go, Tainted Grail by Awakened Realms. In 2019, I was introduced to Machina Arcana. I know there's an earlier version of this game, but I don't own that one. I only received a Kickstarter copy of this when it came out in 2019, and I haven't looked back. This game is awesome. This is truly a Cthulhu dungeon crawler with some really cool mechanics. You get a amount of stamina that you're going to use to perform so many different things in this game. You can blow up barrels, you can set traps, you can check out treasure chests, you can then gain items that you can put in your inventory. Not only that, you can craft these items together to make this super cool thing that can take out almost anything. But watch out, there's almost always something that you can't take out that can take you out. On top of that, they have a really cool mechanic of this horror deck and an adventure deck if you're able to get some of those cards. At the end of each turn, you're going to roll to see if monsters or even horror events happen to you. And if they do, they're going to be coming at you full throttle. These monsters are no joke, man. It is super cool to play against these monsters. Of course, the goal of the game is not to destroy the monsters, but to actually complete the objectives on your scenario. I like the fact that this game is only a 2x2 grid. I apologize, 2x2. And as you move off a map that would put you off it, it will move the entire map, which means other boards will disappear and anything on them is left in the dark. So that's a good way to get away from some of these enemies that sometimes you just can't deal with. This game has a lot going for it. If you're looking for a fun, tough dungeon crawler that has a neat Cthulhu experience, I can't think of one better than Machina Arcana. In 2019, we were exposed to the greatest game, in my opinion, of all time. And that is Madara, Unintentional Malum Act 1. This will never ever leave my collection. The story is phenomenal. Best story in any game I have ever played. It has cool characters, and these characters can be kitted out to be however you want them to be, which is super cool. You want to be a healer? You be a healer. You want to be a tank? You be a tank. You want to be a tanky healer? You be a tanky healer. You want to throw knives from the back? Sure, go for it. You can be whatever you want. The skills you gain are going to be able to make your character become what you want them to be. On top of that, they have some fantastic items and also some awesome weapons. And you can combine all these together to give you super cool combos, and you're able to take down these really cool and unique enemies, which have a fantastic AI system that rivals Sword and Sorcery as one of the best AI systems I can play against. It's a simple read down the list type of mechanic, and again, you're trying to puzzle out potentially the best situation. But don't forget, there's dice, and these dice can sometimes be brutal, but they can also be super satisfying when you roll fantastic rolls and are able to take out enemies in a one-shot, especially with Remy's one-shot War Axe. I love the character development inside the story. They're all named characters, so the story actually evolves around these characters, which is something I hope more and more dungeon crawlers down the line do. I really like feeling what this character feels as opposed to just adventurer. It really brings the story to life, and this story is amazing. Right now, we're in the middle of a playthrough on this on my channel. Please go check it out. I can't get enough of this game, and we're returning to it really soon at the time of this recording. My goal is to complete this game before they release Act 2 and Act 3. So I've got a monumental task ahead of me because it's a super phenomenal and long game. That's Madara, Unintentional Malum Act 1, 2019, a game I will never have leave my collection. It is a game forever. There you have it. Those are my forever games, starting in 1989 with Leading Edge and ending in 2019 with Madara, Unintentional Malum Act 1. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more videos come out. Also, please feel free to leave anything in the comments below. I would love to hear from everyone. What are your forever games? I would love to hear a couple of them at least. On top of that, what did you think of this? If you enjoyed this kind of content, I will try to do some more of it. That's about all I've got. Again, thank you so much for watching. And if you're excited to see what comes next, that could potentially be a forever game, then I need you to meet me at the table.